Did you know that Arcane Studios was founded in 1999 in Lyon, France by an ex-EA employee? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode 150. My name's Gareth Briley. I'm going to be your host. And on my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Hey. You nailed it as always, Gareth.
I did know. Not one. That was a perfect attempt.
Fantastic.
Without any problems. I'm very good.
Yeah.
And on my virtual right is Mr. Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard?
Oh, hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
You're always surprised where I'm going to put you.
It tends to differ every time.
Keep you on your toes. On my virtual opposite is Mr. Paul Renshaw. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing very well, Gareth. I'm here with my lawyer, ready to address the defamation of my character that you committed last week. Yeah. So looking forward to that.
Was it just me, or was it Neil as well?
No, it was definitely just you.
Ah, fair enough.
Neil said I was mid-40s, which I was happy with. You then went, oh, no.
Yeah.
Not that I'm bitter or anything.
No, it's fair enough. Well, hopefully we'll get those court cases sorted out later. And we are here. We're going to find out what we've done for the week, but we're here mainly for the Xbox Developers Direct, which we saw last night, and we're going to chat about that quite soon before anything else and get our ideas. But first of all, more importantly, what have we been doing this week? James, what have you been doing?
Well, not a lot, as always. Watched the football this week.
Oh.
It's a good time to be a Man United fan.
It's got better for you, yeah.
Apart from losing at weekend, obviously.
Yeah.
But at least we should play with a bit of passion, a bit of fire, a bit of spirit now. It's good. And the rest of the week's just been being hounded by DHL. I'm having a deja vu here because I'm sure I spoke about this before. But DHL, I've emailed, rang numerous times this week just to try and get me to tell them what's in my Soulbox package from Korea.
Right.
And they want to know the exact ingredients and how much each item is worth. I'm thinking, well, how do I know that? It's a mystery box. So I like to do a lot of chasing up all week for that.
Nice.
That's a nightmare. But yeah, great week.
Nice. I once went to. Sorry, go on.
Go, Gareth. Go.
I've got a big DHL storehouse near me. So when I lost something, maybe a couple of years ago, I actually went to the place. And it was like, the beginning of The Walking Dead or The Last of Us, when things are in complete chaos, and there's people just like it was like that in there. It was madness, but they sorted it out in the end. Sorry, Paul, what are you going to say?
It doesn't matter now. The moment is gone.
Oh, my God, I'm so sorry. Paul!
It's all right. You just stamp all over my comedy genius. I don't mind.
What's... Don't worry, Paul. I'll get you to my friends.
Oh, my God.
This is all going into the tribunal.
Great, good.
I'll be a witness.
Thanks, mate.
Good. Paul, how's your week been?
My week has gone all right until this morning when I tried to get out of bed and suddenly couldn't sort of move. I seem to have caught this flu that Richard had the other week. I'm pretty sure it came down the line through Skype. I think that's how computer viruses and stuff work. So yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say there's a lot of finger pointing going on this week already.
There is. It's where there's blame, there's a claim, mate.
It's targeting everyone. It's not
absolutely.
No bad.
You know what? It's like the scattergun approach.
Yeah.
So I'll get one of you. The only person I've not got any beef with is James because he's always lovely.
Not yet.
So yeah, other than that, I mean, it's just been another week of work and then illness. So I've stayed at home today and felt sorry for myself.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, there you
Richard,
go.
Richard, you must have you had a good week. These two have really depressed me.
Yeah. I will say that I didn't stay off work, so it can't be mine. Even though I'm working from home, I was still able to move next door to the spare bedroom where the desk is set up.
Right.
So it can't be mine. It's not mine. I'm not giving it.
Listen, save it for the court case, mate.
What have you been doing this week, Richard?
Yeah, I went to my first gig of the year last week. I went to see the Subways. They're, I guess, quite an old. I say old. They're about 20 years old now. This band. They did Rock and Roll Queen, that I'm sure everyone's heard, and a few other hits. They've got a new album out. That's why they were touring. But that was good. They're really good band. Laura's seen them 3 or 4 times now. I think that's only my second time seeing them, but yeah, I do like them. And it was nice to be back out of the house again.
Good.
Very
good.
Can I just say, I think my favourite thing from the Subways is the meatball marinara.
It is good.
I do like that.
I think that's a cover version though of theirs.
Nice. What have I been doing this week? I've been working madly, but also I have been watching Our Flag Means Death, which is on BBC at the moment, and it's an HBO production, and it's Rhys Darby, who you might know from Flight of the Phoenix. He's also in the remakes of what's that film called with The Rock? Jumanji's in that as well, and those other things. And he plays, it's set in the sort of 17th century. He plays a pirate with his crew. He's like a gentleman pirate, he calls himself. And a kind of very sort of like useless fighter who doesn't really like violence, wants to just talk stuff through with the crew. And he has this kind of rubbish kind of crew of people. He's bought a boat and he left his wife and his kids and he's gone out and he meets Blackbeard, famous pirate, who's played by, what's his name, James?
Is it Taika Waititi?
That's it, yeah, the director and actor. Yeah, and I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like, this is all right. This is fine. This is quite, it's like, it's a bit sort of like pantomime-y, it's quite fun, But actually, it's really good. When you kind of get through the first couple and you get into the rhythm of it, it's a great kind of like little comedy thing, half an hour. Some nice little moments, some very funny lines. Yeah. What about you, James? Do you like it?
I think you're right. It gets a lot better. I think I've just watched the 3rd episode, and it's just hilarious when he walks into a really raucous bar, everyone's fighting, and there he is in his white suit. And it's just totally out of place, but it works. It really works. And there's some great appearances from different actors that you'll recognise from other BBC dramas and stuff like that.
And American stuff as well. Big American comedians in there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
My favourite line, I'm going to spoil that favourite line, but he gets stabbed by a pirate. And he goes, and he just says to him, "Did you mean that?" It just made me laugh a lot. It's very good. It's really good fun. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Xbox developer. Is it called the Xbox Developers Direct or Direct Developers something? What's it called?
Developers Direct.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. There you go. I think Xbox is in there somewhere, but
Xbox is in there as well, yeah.
That's it.
It's developer_direct.
Oh, okay, great. So we watched that last night, and it was about 45 minutes. Don't spoil anything yet. We'll go through what we saw in order, and we'll just talk about that. But overall, if you could just give it a mark, what would you give it, Richard?
7 out of 10.
Brilliant. Paul?
For one game in particular, 8 out of 10.
Right. James?
75 out of 100.
No, there you go. We're all about the same area. I think it's been quite successful. Never look at the chat. Don't ever look at the chat. I always say this. It's just lunatics in the chat. Angry lunatics. There's loads of people just shouting, "Avowed! Where is Avowed?" It's like, what have you seen of that game? You saw a CGI trailer about 3 years ago, and that's it. You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's about. You don't know anything about. What do you want it so bad? Anyway, so let's start from the beginning. So what the show does, if you haven't seen it, is they sort of just basically went to each studio. They had 5 studios they looked at. We thought there was only going to be 4, but there was 5, and they had a sort of like sometimes in-depth chat about the game. So you saw quite a bit of the game. And the first one we saw was Minecraft Legends, which is all these are coming to Game Pass. So Minecraft Legends is by Minecraft people, and we knew a little bit about it, but they basically focused on in this thing on the PvP stuff side of it. They sort of mentioned the campaign. The campaign happens, but actually the main. I think is that fair to say it was mainly about the PvP, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And from my understanding of PvP, it's all about you kind of getting together. You're building your bases. You're building how complicated that base is, and it had kind of examples of developers who've been practicing about what they like to do, who does what job. And in this world, you play 2 groups of 4 against each other. And the idea is to destroy the bases, but also you've got the piglets or something. I don't know, Minecraft.
Piglins.
They're running about. They're the enemies, and they would kill anyone. But there's all different ways to approach it, different ways to do it. I mean, I like the look of it, but I'm not the best person to talk about this. Let's go to Richard first of all, because I think this is your area, Richard, for some reason.
Well,
maybe because there's an RTS-y type feel to it. I don't know this. Do you like the look of this?
I did get that impression from it, yeah, with the base building and everything. It seems to retain the core Minecraft gameplay, though, which I think is good. I haven't played Minecraft in about 10 years, though, now, so I would be a bit rusty, if anything. But no, I think it looks good. It's probably not for me necessarily, but I think if kids enjoy Minecraft, which I think they still do, then yeah, it's a new spin on it for them, and it'll introduce them similar to Minecraft Dungeons. It'll introduce them to a new way to play Minecraft, and potentially a new genre for them to explore later on. So yeah, it looks all right.
James, can I ask you a question? And you might help me on this.
Question.
In the campaign, we don't know much about yet. Maybe we saw something about that earlier. What's the difference between this and Minecraft Dungeons?
Isn't Minecraft Dungeons more like, I don't really know what the difference is.
No,
I don't know much more than you about the campaign.
No.
I think that's the issue. But can you play with people in co-op in Minecraft Dungeons?
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. You can. Ah.
When maybe it's just the fact it's more story driven.
Yeah.
This one. But anyway, forget that.
Yeah,
no one cares about campaign.
Yeah.
Because the PvP was.
Excuse me.
Alright, sorry. Only Paul cares about campaign.
Thank you.
But I think I remember seeing this on one of the other showcases. And I was quite scathing about it. But I think this time it had a really good showing. I think they really showcased the strategic PvP and the fact that you can have, different roles in the team, collecting resources. I don't know if it'll be for me, but I think it's definitely going to be a better game than I expected. But I didn't like the part where, was it the host of the game declared what the other team was doing? I mean, there's no need for snitches. But yeah, I think it's a really good, entry point strategy game.
Yeah.
Like Richard said, for the kids, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
And for us, because we could play that.
Oh yeah, you can go and collect resources. I think
we could play that with the Xbox Hub team. I think it'd be a good one to just do a night of it until someone.
I'm down if you guys are.
Yeah, I think it'd be quite fun.
Give it a go, yeah.
Yeah. Paul, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, as I get older and older now, now that I'm in my late 50s, that I don't enjoy PvP as much as I used to. I'd be much more interested in the campaign. But having said that, it did make me think of Dobbo, to be honest, because him and Darren have been talking about nothing but Age of Empires 2 coming out every time we've been together playing games. And it just made me think of that a bit. You know, it's a simpler version of a real-time strategy thing. And it does look quite interesting, you know, going up and smashing your way into the enemy's base and then flooding it with all the mobs. Looks like it could be quite entertaining, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it depends who you're playing with. I mean, playing with you, Gareth, I mean, God knows all bets are off, aren't they? So, but yeah, I mean, I think if we're going to give it a try on the old XboxHub.com night, that would be something I would be interested in.
Good. As long as I'm not in your team, I think it'll be good.
Well, absolutely. I want to be able to destroy you.
Yeah, I think it looks fun. I mean, I would have liked to see more of the campaign, because I think that's probably what I might do, probably more than anything else. And I like the world. I think it looks really nice. They kept that Minecraft feel, but it does look really, really kind of. It's got a nice kind of visual look to it, I think. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. But it's coming to Game Pass, and it's coming on April the 14th. I made that up. 18th. So not that far away. That's their first big date there. I think it looks good. I'm just quite surprised, and I think it could be quite fun. I think it's interesting that they've gone for the RTS kind of the PvP as their big. Obviously, they're going to do another deep dive probably into the campaign maybe in a month's time or something. But I think that's interesting that that's their first thing they show to get those kids excited. So we had that one. So that was good. That was okay. Enjoyed that. And then we had the next one, which was from it's Forza time. Forza, whatever the number is. First thing I thought was, I bet Neil and Paul are having...
Woohoo!
Yeah. Sexy time over this. And I thought,
My goodness me. That's an image nobody wants.
But Forza was there, and it had a trailer showing shiny cars and shiny things and shiny races. Paul, talk us through it, because I've bored myself already.
Talk you through it. Oh, mate. What you were saying about sex time isn't far off. It was a proper sort of racing nerdgasm happening. It was just amazing. The way that it looks, the way that it just, you know, they were going through such detail. When you're driving along, the car gets dirty in the low pressure areas of the bodywork. And it's really, really odd. But one of the things that I actually noticed is when they were racing, one of the cars was the new Ford GT. And it's got a really weird bodywork where there's big holes at the back. And you could look through the holes in the back and see the car behind. And I was just sat there going, yeah, this is going to look proper. It looks a lot better than Gran Turismo 7 already. I love the damage that's in there. It just, honestly, I was blown away. It looks amazing. The sound work that's gone into it and everything else, it just, you know, these guys are properly serious this time, I think.
Love the way they kept saying from the ground up. Everyone said from the ground up. They start every sentence. And I think they've got 5 new environments in there, one of them being South Africa, which we just saw a little bit of, but not much. Prague will be there again.
You love Prague, though.
Yeah, and the ice one. So I've got to admit, it looked amazing. It did look unbelievably amazing from what you saw there. And correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, maybe you could do it. Did they say they were trying to keep how many frames per second as well as it being in 4K?
Yeah, they said they were going to have 4K, 60 frames per second, and ray tracing.
Yeah,
so
which is unusual, isn't it, from all these other things? So
really pushing the power of the console. Finally, though.
Yeah. Did you like the look of it?
I did. I've not played as much Forza Motorsport as Paul obviously has. I tend to stick to the Horizon games, but I do like the single-player campaign of the Motorsport games. So yeah, I'll probably give it a try. I just hope it sort of goes back to how it used to be, that you really have to work your way up from the bottom, as opposed to Forza Horizon got to a state where if you turned a corner, you unlocked 3 new cars and stuff, and there was no real challenge to unlocking new cars and stuff. But I'm interested to see the single player side a little bit more, definitely.
James?
Yeah, I think I wish we'd have seen more about the single player, because they briefly mentioned that it's a car building focused career, but they didn't really talk about it.
I think I'm going to jump to their defence now, because I think they're doing a more deeper showcase either tonight or this week. So they're all going to do an in-depth one. I definitely thought something was going to happen.
I'll let them off then, because hearing those tyres squeal and seeing all that dirt it made my day. Mine
too, mate. Mine too.
Yeah, I can feel the energy. I don't know if I'm sold. I'm not actually play the old Forzas at the moment. But if you can convince me with the career mode and show me some more locations, I'll be on board.
Great. Good. Yeah, I mean, it does look really nice. Like you said, I kind of like, and it'd be nice doing a couple of online stuff together. As long as we could still bounce off the cars around corners, I'll be happy.
We need to play football again.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? Yeah, that was great. More of that. The downside to all this is they didn't have a release date, which is a big surprise, I think, for everyone. They said come in 2023. And it's the first hint of one of the games. This is one of the games that was going to happen in the first 6 months. Do we think Forza is going to come out in the 6 months, or does this coming in 2023 mean it's going to be in the autumn probably, or maybe summer?
October, November.
Yeah, I think they're going to push it back. They've got to make sure that it's right. It looks great. Now they have to make sure that it plays great. So I'd much rather they took the time to do it properly than tried to rush it out.
Do you think, and we'll talk about this a bit afterwards, do you think it's not about whether it's ready? It could be about how busy this year is. So there is this kind of suggestion with a couple of games that they've been ready for a while, and they've just pushed them back to get them out of the certain busier areas, and especially this year it's quite a challenge. Is it about the Xbox looking at their year, which we'll talk about at the end with one of the games that wasn't there, looking at it going, okay, we've got that there, we've got that there. If we don't want to put Minecraft Legends and Forza in the same month. We don't want to put, we need to have this spread out a little bit. Is there a case for that?
I would 100% agree with that. And the one that we are going to talk about afterwards, I think, is another, not necessarily a casualty of that. But if you look at the release dates for those 5 games that they showed yesterday, you've got, I think the latest one is June for Elder Scrolls Online. So I don't think you would want to release Forza or Starfield between now and then, basically. I think those are reserved now for the second half of the year.
Okay, we'll chat about Starfield afterwards. I think that's a good thing to have, yeah. Okay, but we're excited. Paul's excited. I'm looking forward to it. You're really excited. I think it did look amazing. Let's talk about the next one, which is a surprise. So we expected 4 developers. We knew about that, but we didn't expect this one. So it was like, it was the developers. What's the name of the developers? They did The Evil Within.
Tango Gameworks.
And they did Evil Within. What else did they do? Another big game.
Evil Within 2.
Ghostwire.
Ghostwire, the one I played recently on PlayStation. Okay. Yeah, so, and then they talked about this game called Hi-Fi Rush, which is this... How would you describe a Hi-Fi? James, what would you describe it?
A rhythm-based action game.
Yeah, almost like a rhythm game mixed with Devil May Cry. It reminded me a little bit of.
Yeah.
I don't know why I kept thinking of Jet Set Radio. When I first saw it.
Yeah. I was thinking of Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah. Had that kind of great animations at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of it. It felt like almost like a bit like Scott Pilgrim as well, with all the kind of baddies you're facing. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah.
It had a kind of really good, interesting look. I quite like the two developers. I quite like their little chat. That made me laugh. And it was like, why are we seeing this game? What's this? Why have we've seen this indie game? It looked good. And then at the end they went, and it's out now, tonight, which I really liked. It was quite nice to have that again, with all these sort of release dates we're waiting for and things, to suddenly go, it's on Game Pass now, after this showcase. It's great. And apparently, it's doing really well, reviewing really well, and people are really enjoying it. So, is it something you might be excited about, Paul? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I've downloaded it, certainly. If I wasn't stuck in the middle of two Persona games, I'd be playing it. But it looked fantastic. I liked the way that the graphics were presented, that sort of cel-shaded sort of style. And I liked the idea of the rhythm-based thing. So I showed my son the trailer this morning, and he was quite excited by it as well. So I think we're going to give it a try and see what's what. But it's certainly a bit of a departure from their normal stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. Richard, music-wise, it's got some people... I don't know anything about this music. I'm not very good with rock music.
Can I just say, sorry, before Richard starts, as soon as I saw that it had Nine Inch Nails on the soundtrack, that was it. I was sold.
Richard, do you like the music on there? Is it good?
Yeah, I saw Nine Inch Nails, I saw the Black Keys, and then there was a few other bands that I'd never heard of. But no, it looks a lot of fun. I think they're trying to keep it into the rock genre, as he was tended to be wielding a guitar as a weapon for the most part. So yeah, I'll definitely give it a try. As everyone keeps saying, it's a massive departure from what Shinji Mikami has done previously, but I don't think he's had... I think whilst he's a studio head, I don't think he's had too much involvement in this.
Well, it seemed to be the other guy's game. That's what he said at one point. It's your game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to be helping. Yeah. I mean, I really like that I love the fact that we just get a game after a thing. It's out now. And I know they've done this before, but I always remember this with Inside, which is one of my favourite games ever. And then he went, and Inside is out now. Which is like mad thinking how big that game is.
It's clever because it gets everyone's interest there and then everyone who's watching the broadcast will go, oh, it's out already. And as soon as it finishes, they go and play it.
Yeah.
It's a really smart move.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it instantly stops the conversation for a period of time of people saying that Xbox has no games.
Yeah. Let's move on into... We're not going to be long on this one. I doubt. Maybe we'll say...
What do you mean?
Elder Scrolls Online have got a new big chapter in there. It goes on forever. I can't even remember what it's called. Does anyone know what it's called?
Necrom,
yes. Apparently it was in an Elder Scrolls game in 1996. This area, and that's coming out in June. And I think at the time you can get all the chapters for a limited time. Is that right? I think there's about 20,000 of them. You can get for free. Richard, you've gone back into this, haven't you? Elder Scrolls Online. Did you go back into?
Yeah, I played High Isle last year, which is, funnily enough, is the only one that's not free as part of this trial thing at the moment.
Yeah.
I do like the Elder Scrolls Online, I will be honest. But in terms of what the story is, I don't really care because there's so much lore of it that it's just for a person that sort of dabbles in it, it's impossible to keep up. So, but no, the actual gameplay of Elder Scrolls Online is really good.
Okay.
And there's just so much to do in it now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Whilst it's good that they're updating it again, because there will be like these dedicated players and that, I've never even finished the main quest, so I've just got so much to do before I would perhaps even consider a new chapter.
Yeah.
But it looks, I mean, we saw a brief look at it and then I think they did a deeper dive afterwards. It'll be much more of the same, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No. Paul and James, I can't remember. I think, James, you did the tutorial, didn't you? And that was it for you.
Yeah, I played it. It was an absolute mess. I don't want to forget that.
And Paul, have you ever delved in?
I played about an hour and pretty much thought the same as James. That's a complete mess. But this was very early on in its life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I should probably go back and give it a try, but, I can't be asked.
No, fair enough. Well, there you go.
Deserve as well.
No, exactly.
Let's go to the final one, which we kind of knew was coming, which was a Redfall. And we saw quite a bit of gameplay for this, really. Probably, I would say, a little bit too much. But...
Never happy, are you?
No, I don't know. It's kind of smaller a lot for it. But we saw a bit of the kind of like singles play, not single, the story, because it can be played single player or 4-player. The kind of a little bit of story mission, but we saw some side quests as well, which was like, and it's got that open world feel to it, almost like, I'm going to say Saints Row for Richard. It has a Saints Row feel to it when you clean out areas on the map, and then
when they mentioned that, that's exactly what I thought.
And then you take on a boss. That sort of.
No, I don't want to play it.
And it's come under a little bit of criticism. People saying it doesn't look as good as it did before. No, it doesn't. I mean, that's me looking at the chat for a second. But I think it's. I really like the look of it. I'm really excited for it. James, let's go to you first of all. What do you think?
It's one that I wouldn't go near as a single player.
Oh.
Because even the gameplay just freaked me out when the vampire turned up out of nowhere. But as a co-op, I think it could be fun with all the different characters' abilities all mixed together. Because they seem quite diverse with the sniper and the telekinesis kind of character as well. And the vampires seem quite different. If it was one vampire, it's quite a few different types. And did we see much of? If we did, the Rook. The Rook seems like a really badass vampire. But it didn't really show much of what it can do. But it sounds like it can be a hellish enemy. So yeah, I'd play it with friends, but not on my own.
Who's played Dishonored and Deathloop here?
A bit of both.
Yeah, Richard?
I did play the first Dishonored, yeah. Forgot.
Yeah. I think it feels in familiar territory. It's interesting when the kind of vampires come at you and you're firing at them, and they're quite hard to take down a little bit, even then, with the 4 people in there. And you know when you're doing a kind of stealthy section.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, that's probably how I'd play it, knowing those games. That's how I played those games. It was easier.
I bit though. There's 1 minute you're doing stealth, and next minute they get the gun out or took a robot out to make noise.
Yeah.
It was a little bit counterproductive.
Yeah. But the great thing about it...
when the vampires went, ow, they got killed. It's a bit weird.
It has that kind of mixture of like, what's great about what they do is like you can attack it in any way you like. That's the idea, isn't it? And also you have all these range of, tricks up your sleeve, like you said, bringing robots out or spells or all sorts of things, or like going invisible at one point we saw so they can't see you. I mean, I think the reason I say Dishonored and Deathloop, I think it felt quite familiar to me, that kind of world a little bit, and that's a good thing for me because I really love those games. But if you didn't get on with Dishonored, I'd be interested to see. Or Deathloop, maybe it might not be your thing, but I don't know why I'm thinking this. It's similar, even though it's 4-player open world, kind of a bit more actiony. Paul, what did you think?
I thought it looked very interesting, especially the multiplayer. This may be the game that will finally knock Aliens Fireteam Elite off the top of the multiplayer leaderboard.
Just that one game.
Just yeah. If we can get together and play this as well, as Minecraft Legends. I think we'll have a very good time. But yeah, I mean, the difference between the characters was quite interesting. The difference between the vampires, like James says, they all look like they're going to be, you're going to need to have a variety of different approaches. And I like the thing about the nests as well, where you have to go underground and kill the heart and everything else. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of content there. It didn't look as good as Forza. There weren't as many cars. So, but other than that, it all looks pretty groovy. I can't wait to play it.
What about you, Richard?
Similar to the other guys, yeah. I think if you got a decent crew together to sort of go through it and play it, I think you'd have a lot of fun with it. As a single player, though, I think you could only play so much of it before you're like, it's a little bit samey. But definitely a game to play in multiplayer, that one.
See, I don't know for me. The problem with playing multiplayer, if it's got some nice story elements and things I want to look at, I don't want James and Paul shouting at my ear.
Yeah, but we don't want you stopping and looking in every window, do we, to see what people are up to? This is the guy who drives around Forza Horizon 5 at 20 mile an hour going, have you seen what's in this shop window?
Yes, I like the details. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it does look great. It does look good. And it's come to Game Pass. It's going to be a big old game. And it's coming May the 2nd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Okay, good. So it's not that far away. Again, another big one. So let's just talk about that. Was all 5 games. Let's just talk about the big. Were we first of all? We knew about Starfield wasn't going to get anything there. It's going to have its own showcase, maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months. Were we shocked by those dates, by the May date and the April date, and no date for Forza? Richard.
I was shocked, obviously, about Hi-Fi Rush releasing on the day. I think there's enough variation between what got shown that there won't be masses of crossovers between players. So there's something for everyone in what they did show. So, but I do think seeing those dates has pushed out Starfield from what we originally anticipated.
Now, do you think so? There's this train of thought, and I'm going to put this over to all of you. Is Starfield might hit June, so it's still within the 6 months. And the reason they're saying June is because basically the Elder Scrolls Online is such a niche thing. It's not a big one like Minecraft Legends probably, or it's a big one like Redfall in the same month, or Forza, for example. It might hit June. Or the other big rumor is going around, because the way Todd, what's his name? Is it Todd Howard? Used to do stuff. He would sort of like have these conferences and then say it's going to be out in 4 weeks. So do they do something and then we get is there an earlier release date of March or April? Paul, what do you think? Paul, you're always the one that you think it's going to go into the second half of the year.
I don't think it's going to make the first 6 months. I think I said that last time you asked me this question. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see it in the back half of the year, to be honest. There's such a lot of stuff coming out now, and they've got to know that when they launch Starfield, nobody's going to be playing anything else for ages. So, I don't know. I mean, I can see it going back, but, equally, they've said it's first half of the year, haven't they? So
yeah, they've said it on their thing. It's not changed.
And we know that game companies never tell lies.
No, exactly. I think the problem is, with Forza not having that date, and, they've already gone back on that kind of like their promise from last year of going, these are the games you're going to see in the next 12 months. To have 2 big players to go out of that. And I think part of my feeling is, as well, release it in the summer. It's going to be much better than the autumn. Because like you said, that's all people will be playing. James, what's your thoughts? Enough for me chatting on.
I think there is a tactical decision. Like you say, the summer is ideal. No competition. Everyone's got plenty of time to... Well, you've got months before the next big game comes out. But it's just not ready. And I could see it being right near the end of the year.
Yeah.
Which makes it tricky again, because then you've got all the big games, and you've probably got Forza.
Also,
You're too close to Forza.
we don't know what's coming
Mm.
out in the autumn. I mean, there's probably
Exactly.
a lot of huge games coming out, third party games as well.
Skull
So
and Bones.
Skull and Bones.
Yeah. Beyond Good and Evil 2, you know.
Yeah, those games.
Do you think there's
Okay.
much crossover between Starfield players and Forza players necessarily, though?
I think they need their own space. It feels like you couldn't put them in the same month. I think they need their own
Yeah.
breathing space, especially two games like that on Xbox on the Game Pass.
Mm.
I think Forza's going to be the end of this year, because I think you've got an extra DLC pack to come for Forza Horizon 5 first. There's still an extra piece of DLC.
Yeah, there is.
That.
There's another pack to come.
And I think that'll tide people over until Forza Motorsport releases the back end of the year.
Okay, good. All right, we're going to find out more. Hopefully, we might get a one in February. We don't know. Starfield, we don't know. Maybe in March. Let's just really briefly do the games we've been playing. We just have one each this one because we're going to run out of time. Let's start with James. What have you been playing?
Oh yeah, starting the best one. It's a free-to-play game called Gundam Evolution. Have you all heard of it? Do we know Gundam?
I've heard of Gundam.
I've heard of Gundam for some reason.
Good. Well, it's a team-based shooter, 6-on-6, and you'll use the mobile suits from the Gundam franchise. So from all the different universes, for those that know it, you've got the Zaku's, the Pearl Rider, the Barbatos. You've got 12 free suits to use straight from the off. And it's a strategic PvP kind of deal. So you're playing domination, capture the point, and the destruction one. You have to plant a bomb or defuse the bomb. And it's a little bit like Titanfall, but you can't just be a pilot. You've got to be in the mech the whole time. And it's faster than Titanfall. The mechs move pretty quickly. It's really good fun.
Oh,
Every mobile suit is quite diverse. Some are geared up for the less, let's say, gifted players. So it's got a bit more aim assist. And then you've got the snipers and the machine guns and special moves. And the only thing that lets it down is that it's pretty dead.
oh right, online.
Within like a month of launch, no one's really playing it. And
Right.
it's hard to get a game, which is a shame. Because, I mean, it's got everything you could ask for a Gundam shooter, apart from players.
Yeah.
I don't really know why, unless it's the fact that there's only 3 types of matches, and then they're all quite similar. But otherwise, it's a really good game. If you fancy it, give it a go, people. Not you guys, obviously.
No.
But yeah,
Although I
give
was
it a
interested. I was interested to hear the thing about less talented players. I thought you could have just said Gareth. So,
Hey, no, even I was using that half the time.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
It's good fun.
Oh, good. Did you review it, James?
Yeah, I gave it a 3.5.
Right. Okay.
Even higher if it didn't have no one playing it.
Oh, good. Richard, let's do your game. What's your game? What's your game? Yeah, sorry.
What's your game? You
Chasing
said.
Static.
Oh.
I've just finished my review for Chasing Static. It's with Neil now to edit. But this is like a throwback to the survival horror games of the late 90s, early 90s, with a few modern twists. So he plays a guy called Chris, who has just been at his dad's funeral, and on his way back, he comes across a cafe, and he realizes he's a bit lost. So he goes into this cafe and sort of asks for directions, and the woman behind the counter says, "Oh, you're going the wrong way, but I can point you in the right direction. if you give us a lift home. He's like, yeah, all right, no problem. So he stays there for a bit, has a cup of coffee. I think he goes to the toilet, and then when he comes back, he sees her sort of pinned to the ceiling, basically. And then when he comes to again after waking up, the cafe that he's in looks like it's been abandoned for years, basically. So you're trying to figure out why that is. And then you wander around for a bit, you get to a bunker, talk to a woman. She says there's 3 sites that need containing, and you need to go to these sites and contain them, basically. But you get given a device that allows you to tap into the frequency around you a little bit. And it sort of works like a metal detector, and the closer you get, the this screen on this device will show you how close you are to places. And once you get there, you get like these little flashbacks to something that's happened, and you're then trying to piece together the mystery of this game. And it's all right. It's a little bit obtuse in places. Like, I finished the game and I wasn't sure whether what I was doing containing these sites was a good thing or a bad thing necessarily. There's multiple endings, but I think it does require like 2 or 3 playthroughs to fully understand what's going on. It really looks the part in terms of an old school survival horror game, but it's much more of a psychological experience. There's not things jumping out at you all the time and stuff like that. It's still a horror game, still a really unsettling atmosphere to it all, but it's much more in your mind, basically, as opposed to jump scares aplenty. But I give it 3 stars on my review. Like I say, it's a bit obtuse at times, and the main character's voice actor is just terrible, to be honest. I really struggled with his voice.
Deliberately terrible? They kind of do this when they do that retro feel to a game now. They go back to that kind of like Resident Evil acting from the first one.
No, because I wouldn't say it's hammy like that, and everyone else seems to be doing quite a good job, basically. But he just feels really, static and wooden, basically.
Right. I played a survival horror game recently. Had that kind of, and literally, I had the guy just kept going, "What am I doing? What's going on? Where am I?" That's all he said all the time. What? This is mad. After the 20th creature attacked him, drove me mad. Yeah. Okay. Good. Chasing Static. 3 stars. Oh, maybe. Ooh. Yeah. Paul, what have you got? You've got something great.
I have got it's not the latest, it's the earliest of the Persona games that have been released on Game Pass. They dropped Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden on the same day. So obviously I'm going to do a review for each, and I've been playing the Persona 3 Portable. And I was a bit nervous before I started, thinking, I've played 5. I gave it 5 stars. How is this going to compare? This is a game from the PS2 era. But it's brilliant. It's really, really good. It's quite strange. The only time you have full control of your team is when you go to this tower at midnight called Tartarus. Other than that, it's almost like a social link simulator, and you have to talk to people and build relationships and go to lessons and all sorts of things. And I'm about 10 hours in, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, it's not quite as good as Persona 5. I think it's heading for about a 4.5 at the minute, just because it's not quite as engaging all the time. But it's still a fantastic game even today.
Great. Okay. Good. Anyone else can have a go at that? James, Richard?
I will eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got 5 first to do. I really want to give that a try first.
Great. All right. Good. I'm going to chat about one game. I'm going to chat about Forspoken on the PlayStation 5.
Is it good?
When I went into the shop that I bought it from, the guy went, You have seen the reviews, haven't you? That was how it started, which made me laugh a lot. I said, yeah. So I got Forspoken on the PlayStation, and it's not had great responses, and for a number of different things. The big thing about it is it's a Square Enix game, and it feels like a Square Enix game. It feels like a Final Fantasy game in certain bits, and what I mean by that is, but without sometimes the magic of Final Fantasy or the characters. But the bits that it's kind of borrowed a little bit from Final Fantasy is the terrible sort of thing of going to... You feel like you're in an open world, but you're not at all. When you push, it just forever sometimes goes to blackout. In this game, its use of blackouts and going to the next scene is, for the first 3 hours, is a nightmare. You literally would walk one step forward and it'll go to a blackout, or go to an info screen, and then it'll come back to you, walk a couple more steps, and it's a cutscene, and then you walk another couple of steps. And so that open world feel, I haven't really felt that yet. I've done about 5 or 6 hours. I'm still sort of just doing missions and around them. I've sort of had a lovely little bit when I was out in the open world. And when I was out there, and I haven't got all the spells yet, that was kind of nice. I was like, oh, this is good. I'm exploring a bit. But the world's a little bit, it's not full of stuff. Yeah, it's a really interesting... I mean, there's a good example. At one point, I did a side mission when I had to feed some goats, right? And I went and fed some goats. Sheep. Found the sheep that was hungry. And I go over to the sheep, and I look down and I go, feed the sheep. And instead of there being an animation of me feeding the sheep, it goes to a screen that says, you feed the sheep, and then comes back up again, and I'm surrounded by the sheep. And that sort of is where the...
And that was a highlight.
That's where the problem is in the game. It has that old school mechanics of that, and it doesn't feel like this gen. It doesn't feel like a last gen game in that sense for those bits, you know. And some of that I've experienced with Square Enix stuff before. You know, that there's old kind of, it's almost like those old PlayStation feels to them. You know, the story and the narrative, that's all fine. That's fine. It's all this hassle about, oh my God, all the dialogue and all this stuff. No, I think that's fine. It's not a problem. I think it's the mechanics that are holding it back a bit. I mean, the narrative has been chopped and changed. It feels like it's been a game made by a committee a little bit, and they've got it all wrong a little bit. They had everything there. They had this open world. The spellcasting stuff is great. All that stuff is really works, and the combat's really good, and you have a range of levels. You can make it easier, you can make it really hard. So, you know, those battles are kind of fun. And some of the world looks great, looks a bit dead, but it doesn't look alive as much, say, after you've played something like... I'm trying to think of a big open world recently. I mean, God of War's different.
Elden Ring.
Yeah, like Elden Ring, for example. Yeah, it's not the same as that. But I'm kind of enjoying it. It hits every now and again. I go, oh, this is fine. This is good. But then another cutscene will go to black. I'll give you some more information about the world. So I don't care. I don't care. Don't keep going to black. Don't keep going to an info screen every 2 seconds. Yeah, it feels like... Because I know it's not a long game. Like, the campaign would take you maybe 15 hours or 12 to 15. And I'm like, I said 5, 6 hours. I still feel like I'm going through a tutorial. Yeah. So... I knew this was the case. I knew this was, you know, from reviews, but I kind of was intrigued. And I'm still intrigued by it. But I probably won't last long.
So what would you give it out of 5?
I think I'll give it a 3. Because there's ambition.
3.
Yeah. I think there's good ambition there. I think the spell system's really good. I just think those kind of mechanics of it have let it down the way they've... What's the word? The way they've structured the game rather than anything else. The ambition of the game is brilliant, I think, but the structure of it, the way they put it together, is good. But it's definitely not as bad as people say. There are worse things, but I think, you know, I think it was a game that people... It's a PlayStation game, so people think they're making God's work or something, but so they think it's going to be... They're going to get failures, of course they are. So yeah, there you go, Forspoken. Right. Now,
did you finish Callisto Protocol? as well.
No, I got to the point when I can't do anything like this. It got to a point when I was attacked by 20 different things, and I had 2 bullets and half a health pack or something. And I was like, no, what am I doing this for? It's that camera was a nightmare behind you. And I just thought, when you got multiple enemies, and I got about 3/4. I love that world, and I love the kind of, I did like the story, the kind of like the, almost like you've been in that story before, but I really enjoyed the atmosphere. I thought visually it looked really good, but I just thought they had to get that right, and they got it wrong, I think. Did you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the combat was a bit hit and miss, and that's what you spent arguably far too much time doing, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Right, gentlemen, now we've talked a lot about the Xbox thing, which is good, but what are we looking forward to next week? We'll catch up on news properly next week. What have we got? James, what have we got?
Well, this weekend in the world of wrestling, it's the Royal Rumble.
Thank you, James.
It's one of the most exciting events. Unbelievable.
Sorry, James. Go on.
Do you want to join in my tribunal, James? That sounded like bullying to me.
Don't worry, I'll be there.
Okay, great. Sorry, James. Royal Rumble. What happens there?
People wrestle, and the idea is to throw them over the top rope to win the match. And we're going to get surprises, and we might get The Rock.
Oh.
And all we want is The Rock, and I'll be happy.
Good. Well, let us know next week if he turns up.
Yeah, well.
I can barely wait.
Paul, what are you looking forward to?
Well, assuming that I managed to recover from my Dobbo flu, I'm going to hopefully go fishing at the weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. And then it's just an unbroken stretch of work and more work after that. So, yeah, there you go. Isn't Dead Space out soon?
Yeah, that tomorrow.
Is that out? I was going to say.
Is that now?
Sure,
If you listen to the podcast.
It's out right now.
If you're, podcast, yeah. It's getting very nice reviews. Getting great reviews. Yeah.
I'm quite looking forward to that. So we'll see if I can find room in my busy schedule to play a game for fun, like some kind of filthy casual.
Yeah, I'm thinking if Forspoken kills me, it might be traded in and Dead Space won't come on. So we'll see. Richard, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
Well, Paul mentioned that I've talked about it non-stop, but I'm looking forward to Age of Empires on console next week.
Yeah,
and as well as Dead Space, but also GoldenEye is out tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
What's that going to be like? God knows.
Go on, sorry, Dobbo.
I've never played the campaign. I've only ever done the multiplayer, so I'm looking forward to playing the campaign a bit.
What? Are they going to bring out a retro controller, though, with that stupid central stick?
Yeah.
Just to get the full experience.
It could lose the whole nostalgia bit.
Yeah. That's what I'm worried about, because I spent so much time playing this game when I was a kid.
Never go back. Never go back.
Well, that's what they say, innit, Gareth?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to. I'm reviewing at the moment Deliver Us Mars, which is I can talk about maybe next week. Maybe I can't, but that's what I'm looking forward to playing more of that. Gentlemen, if we need to get hold of you, where can we get hold of you, Paul?
I am on the Twitter, and my handle is at XboxHubPaul.
Brilliant. And Richard, where can I get you?
Why are you giggling?
I just read you at Xbox Hub, Paul. You turned into a robot. It was quite nice. I will kill you, human. Go on, sorry, Rich.
I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and my handle is Dobbo1912.
1912. Good, James.
Exterminate.
James, can you do your robot for your thing?
No. I am on Twitter and Instagram, and my tag is at OKGKO.
Do you not have a handle?
No.
We'll get you a handle for Christmas.
It's alright, mate.
And you can find me at GB Brady on all reliable sources. But for now, gentlemen, thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.thexboxhub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub, and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.